This is Thomas again for you today with the Ford Fiesta ST here in the Autogefühl review. So a Ford performance car, soon there will also be the Ford Focus ST. We're trying to get that one later this year, but now the small car segment with the Fiesta ST, and it is the direct competitor to the Volkswagen Polo GTI. Also check out that review, will be in the video description. So that one is, well, about 2,500 euros less expensive than the Polo GTI. Well, almost kind of the same horsepower. The Polo has 192, this one here has 182. Well, a normal Ford Fiesta is quite cheap. You don't pay much more than 10,000 euros. Maybe if you put some equipment in a 12,000, 13,000, that's quite okay. But this one, you know, the top version, the Ford Fiesta ST, is about 20,000 euros. And this test car is about 24,000 euros because we got some more equipment in it. Still, the Polo GTI, as I said, will be a little bit more expensive. So let's see what we get for this money here. Design-wise, we have a huge front grille here in this new design, but then we also got the comp structure in here. And it's not only that we got this kind of cheap plastic structure in here, no, the surface is shiny and black. It also feels good actually, very well done here. Big ST logo here as well, and a very strong lower bumper here. That's quite pleasing, and well, I think this aggressive style really fits this car, and it's not too much exaggerated in my opinion. Then let's take a look again at the whole side profile. Of course, it's also more aggressive than the usual version. We got a little bit of stronger side bumpers here. Then we got 16-inch alloys with great brake calipers. Of course, they are still kind of small wheels because it's a small car, but the 16-inch alloys also fit quite well to the car. Then at the back it gets, you know, more aggressive even. And there you can really argue, I also want to hear your opinion on that. Is that still okay, or is it maybe too much? We got huge rear wing here, also with small holes here on the top side. I'm not sure. I think it's a little bit too much, but maybe you have another opinion about that and you really like it. Then we got another ST logo here at the rear part. Right here, also quite prominent. Strong rear really for the small car. Again, the shiny comp structure here at the lower part, and two pipes here with the exhaust also for the small car. This rear diffuser is very huge also for the small car. And well, it almost looks really almost like this rally car from the Fiesta. Let's open the door. You see here, I think it's a really good quality, quite solid. I really like that. This blue, by the way, is called Performance Blue. There are special colors here for the ST version, and we see only available in the 3-door version. We got the 3-door here, of course, now, but usually you can pick the 5-door version with the Fiesta as well. Here in the ST version, only the 3-door version. Then check the interior, getting a little bit of sun now here. Special ST Sport steering wheel, perforated structure at the outside, ST logo at the lower end. And then this is special, these are the Recaro seats, special Recaro racing seats. See, with a B color, contrast stitches in white, ST logo, and really a lot of side support. It's a really huge racing seat. It's not the kind that you feel, okay, there's some shoulder support. No, you're really caged in that seat. So it's really almost something you would say, okay, it's really made for the racetrack, this seat. And then the entry logo here from the ST also at the lower part. It's also some kind of nice thing. What I don't find that pleasing, besides these racing structures, are the inside of the doors. Well, this one is kind of here cheap. And you see we also got a quite long door, of course, because it's a 3-door version, but that leads to the floor. Because when you try to close the door, You don't really have the power to close it always at the time. It sometimes happens that you have to close it 2 or 3 times from the inside, and then it really gets closed because there's a lot, a lot of space, and you don't really have the power. Then I can show you that as well. Now, when I put it here now, okay, when it's totally open, then it's okay. But sometimes when it's like this, and then you have to pull it like that, it might happen that it doesn't really close, because it feels like it's a wrong angle. I would more expect it to be here that I can put the door angle. But okay, that's just a detail, I must say. I think you'll get along, and you always hear when it's closed. So, and just for my basic feeling here in the interior, as I said, the seat really offers kind of this caged-in feeling, which is very good for a race car, of course. But I must say already now, I wouldn't take it for longer journeys, because I don't think they are too comfortable. Sometimes there are sport seats that are also comfortable for the long trip. In this case, I must say, I think I would get lower back pain for the long road, but that might also have to do something with my height, of course. So maybe if you're small, you don't get so much problem. So, and then let's take a look here at the detailed interior at the middle console. Because a middle console is, well, kind of this basic middle console we also get in the normal Fiesta version. And I think this is kind of the biggest flaw here in this car, because first of all, it gets kind of huge inside the interior, almost like a balloon. And then we got so many buttons here. I'm not sure if you're really using every one of this button. A little bit confusing, also, especially with these buttons here. And what I find quite disturbing is that we got so much different forms. Here, sharp angles, round again, half round here again, then round again here. So many mixtures, and I think here from the interior design, they didn't really know what shall we do. We just place this one here, here. It doesn't really look sorted. This is also still the old infotainment system. It's quite not too big, and I can show you also, for example, the rear view camera. It's good to have it. Also, the resolution is quite fine, but of course it's not too big. But it's I think 900 euros extra. So the optional prices in the Fords are usually quite okay. So you don't extend the extra price so much. Then again, about the rest of the interior, you see we also got a material surface mix here from the dashboard and here from the screen. This surface is quite okay, because it's not that kind of plain black plastic structure. It has a little bit of surface, but also not too keen on that one. The best one, I think, is still the steering wheel. It's a little bit hard, I must say, but it gets you good grip. And of course the seats are the highlights, although I don't find them too comfortable. But in general, I must say the interior, also if you compare it to the Polo GTI looks much more refined from the interior and way cleaner. I think from the exterior, as we've seen, the biggest difference is this one here is a very aggressive car and screams for attention. And the Polo GTI is more like this understatement car, more reserved, a little bit sporty, but still not too keen on getting too much attention. That's all. This is the difference. And I think you have to decide yourself from the exterior and interior what you like more. I also want to hear your opinions on that. And now let's get to the most sporty side of the car, is when you're required to go to the rear seat department. You can pull this front seat in the front, that's quite practical, and then you have to climb in here. Of course, it's way more practical if you got 5 doors, but as I said, not available in the ST version. Then as I would be seating as a driver, well, I have hardly any leg space, but I think it could be worse just from leg space wise. That's still quite okay. From the headroom, it's also still quite okay. I mean, we're in a small car segment here, and we just have 3 doors. So that's, I think, really okay. I'm 186 meters, still got that kind of space above my head. That's really okay. About the head restraints, by the way, thank you for the tip that you officially call them head restraints, not headrest, but we can also say headrest, I think. They don't go up too high. So I'm not sure if they really well protect your neck. Well, they don't, at least not my neck, because I would be falling over there then. So that's kind of a flaw in here, but they wouldn't also go much higher than. overall, I must say, for such a small car and the only 3 doors, you still got a lot of space here. And well, I wouldn't, want to rest here too long, but I must really admit, also kind of cozy in here when you're a little bit caged in here. Also with the Recaro ST design here in the back seats. So for the space they had, they really used it here. So let's check the trunk, because also when you got the sporty version, you want to use it for your everyday shopping area. Well, I think it's not huge, of course, small car segment, but I think it's also quite okay. They use the space. Also a suitcase would fit in here, and as we don't have another spare wheel, we also got something more on below here. The backpacks are on it, but it's an additional space below there, and it's also quite steep. So I think here as well they use the space they have, even if the car doesn't look that angular from the outside. It's still kind of spacious from the inside. I think there they did a very good job. Coming from that 1.6 liter EcoBoost engine from Ford, no hydraulic dampers here, but of course it's a small car segment, so that's quite okay. So that one is the engine here now, as I said, 1.6 liter, 182 horsepower, a little bit less than with the Polo GTI, but that won't make such a difference. The performance figure is 6.9 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers, and for a small car that's quite impressive. Although this one here, the Ford Fiesta ST, is really a very aggressive small car we will see now in the driving review. So about driving, Ford Fiesta ST is really a crazy kind of vehicle, I must say. It's way stiffer, for example, than the Polo GTI. It's like when you have the Polo GTI in that very hard sport mode. For example, you will also see it on the camera now. When you're just going on the small bump, it's like, boom. You really have feeling like no suspension at all. It's really rough. And well, you cannot really pick the suspension mode here. In the Polo GTI you could, so you should go for that car here if you really prefer that very rough and super sporty suspension. Of course, the good thing about this, when you are really fast in the corners, gives you a lot of stability. So for a sporty suspension, it's also a very great job here. In general, you might maybe know also for the serial cars, the Ford suspensions are always very good, really. And well, it depends on what you really want to have, sporty or comfortably. As for the steering here, it's a direct response, and you also don't need too much steering ways. Well, it could be a little bit more progressive. I think it was a little bit better, for example, also in the Polo GTI. So the steering wheel could be a little bit shorter. But overall, I'm quite happy with the steering here as well. The speed is really amazing. I mean, for such a small car, and also the sound, you maybe heard it already. A really incredible sound for such a small car. When I'm shifting now down to the second gear here, for example, and then really push it, whoa, incredible. Also, the RPM meter, it just goes further and further and further, and it doesn't even stop at any point. So it's really amazing what this 1.6 liter engine, such a small turbo petrol engine, really delivers here. And I don't think you can ever have more horsepower in a small car, because you couldn't get it on the ground anyway. So, and now especially when we're going around here in fast corners, then it's really so much fun with that car here. When you really want to control that car even more sporty, then here you can actually put the ESC, the electronic stability control, on 3 levels. Right now it's all in. Then if you push it once, we see in the upper screen here, it changes, pushing it once. This is ESC Sport, so it's reduced a little bit. And then if we press it and hold it a few seconds, it's out completely. Of course, you have to really be able to control the car pretty well then. So maybe just test it, how it really works. And for example, you can begin with the sport mode and we just try it out, because so far I realized it reduces the speed, of course, in the corners, because the stability control wants to keep you all in the right place. Now with the ESC Sport, we can have a little bit more spin at the front wheels, and I feel the car is also allowing to slide me around just a little bit. So that's actually, I think, a good compromise going for the Sport ESC here. And I can just stress again, if you got very plain roads, it's so much fun here with the car. It's really more exaggerated, more aggressive car than the Polo GTI. Unless you are in that sport mode, then the Polo GTI is also very aggressive. But that one, I must really say, now checking the turning circle, it's also quite slow. Rear gear, rear view camera, first gear again. And now let's really push it. Now it's understeering a little bit, pushing us out of the front wheels. Second gear again, next corner. Wow, it's incredible, really, for such a small car. Here you don't pay too much money and really have a great sports car. It's a really true sports car, I must say. So if you want that rough sports experience and want to have a lot of fun on the road, this is exactly the right choice. Roundabout here, I can really push it. A little bit of wet road here. Ah, yeah, it's flowing a little bit in the corner. Now the chicane here. So much fun here. And I think, well, we now showed you that on purpose with our cameraman in the back. Because when the camera is attached fixedly in the front, you don't really feel the G-forces, don't really see the G-forces that are applied on the car. But then when our cameraman is also shaking a bit, it's not too comfortable for the cameraman, but then you get better impressions of how the car is really reacting and the speed we are going actually. And yeah, I'm really amazed by this car from the funny side. However, I'm already starting to feel my lower back because the suspension is really rough, and also the sport seats, they keep you very tight. So great for the racetrack. Yeah, but of course they're not that comfortable for the long term. So it's really a question of how tall are you and what do you really expect from a car. But I can tell you, just from this driving here, so much fun. So let's do the acceleration tests. The road is still a little bit wet now, so we won't really get the best result, of course, if we really count the numbers. I'm going to ESC Sport mode to have a little bit of wheel spin, but not totally ESC off, so that we don't have too much spin, especially here with the wet road, because that's also not good for the time then. And I will preload the clutch like, I think, 4000 RPM or something like that. So let's try. Nice. Of course, we had a lot of wheel spin now, but just to get an impression of the acceleration. So let's conclude about the Ford Fiesta ST. We really had a lot of fun. It's such a crazy car. Just from the standard setup, even crazier than the Polo GTI. Of course, well, it sits 50 millimeters lower, has this sporty steering setup, and also the general suspension has a sporty setup. Really rough just from the basic setup. And well, if you appreciate exactly that, then this is the better choice. Just if you ask me, I would still go for the Polo GTI because, you know, they have this very comfy feeling in the everyday driving, and then you can push the sport mode and have this aggressive style. In general, I think the Polo GTI is more refined, especially from the interior. I think from the exterior, you can just argue, you know, what pleases you more. This one is a more aggressive style. The Polo GTI is more reserved. But I think it's still very interesting to compare these two cars, and Ford has really managed to get a small car to an incredible fun machine. The agility is really great, especially when you got plain flat roads. Then you get so much support from the suspension and so much support from the seats as well. A lot of fun. I would just not recommend it for longer journeys because it tends to get a little bit uncomfortable then. So again, I want to hear your opinion about that car, also about this performance blue color. And well, what would you go for? Would you go for the Ford Fiesta ST or would you rather pick the Volkswagen Polo GTI? Thank you very much for watching again. Here with Thomas for Autogefühl, and see you next time.